Hello everybody, my name's Bev and this is my colleague Amanda and we work for the NHS, don't we?
We do, yes.
We do. We're here today to tell you about lung health. So we've brought along this lovely pair of demonstration lungs which were made for us by a fabulous art group called Crosshatch in Winsford. So I'm going to start off by telling you how the lungs actually work in very plain terms. So here we have the trachea, which is also known as the bronchial tube, and the air it comes down the bronchial tube and goes into the bronchioli. These are hundreds and hundreds of little tubes that are then connected to a cluster of pouches called alveoli, and the alveoli feed the capillaries. So the oxygen comes in as you breathe, feeds through to the capillaries into your bloodstream, and the carbon dioxide then comes out of the capillaries and feeds back up through the system out of your mouth, and that's how breathing works. This is supported by your diaphragm, which is underneath the lungs, and as you exhale it flattens, and as you inhale it moves upwards to help the breathing process. I'm going to ask Amanda, please, could you press down on the right side of the lung and press down on the left side of the lung and tell me what you think the difference is.
Okay. That's quite soft. Quite spongy, quite soft, and that side feels a lot firmer. It feels harder, and I'd say that side is very slightly thicker than that side.
Okay. So as we breathe in toxic chemicals and we put ourselves into harmful environments, we can actually damage our lungs by collecting tar. Very well-known thing is nicotine. When you smoke a cigarette, there are over 700 different chemicals in a cigarette. The most harmful is tar and nicotine, but there are also slight elements of things like rocket fuel and other things that people may not realise are in a cigarette. Sometimes when we live in an urban or a city area, we can breathe in toxic fumes from cars, car emissions, and maybe factories and things like that. So these are all collective factors for hardening and discoloration of the lungs. So I'm going to open the lungs up now so we can have another look inside. So what you can see on the left and what you can see on the right, what is the stark difference, Amanda?
So, just by simply looking and not touching, this side is darker. It would say that some of the capsules, are they called?
Alveoli.
Alveoli, they look a bit smaller. And again, as I said, it looks a little bit flatter and also firmer, but I think the coloration is the main thing for me.
So a good healthy lung, Amanda, should be very, very pink. It's a little bit blue in here, and that's to represent the oxygenation. Oxygenation is really, really important for a healthy lung. On this side, yes, the alveoli are very shriveled and the capillaries may be blocked, which prevents any oxygen from going into the lungs and being transferred into the blood. So when that happens, it's not just your lungs that are in danger, it's all your other organs as well. So your heart, your skin, which is an organ, your kidneys, your liver, all of your bodily organs all need oxygenating to perform.
So essentially, good lung health is vital to support the entirety of your body and not just the breathing process.
Exactly.
What does this represent? Is this kind of further to deterioration and illness?
So sometimes, Amanda, if we're a smoker particularly, or if we've been in a damaging environmental area, in our lives, we may develop something called cancer, and this represents lung cancer. This is a lung cancer tumour. 80% of lung cancer goes undetected at an early stage, and we only find out about it at a very late stage, which is why sometimes the cancer will spread throughout the lung. And as you can see here, the cancer is also starting to go to different places within the body. So quite 80% of lung cancers will develop lung cancer in other areas of the body as well as the lungs. So it's really important, if you do get symptoms, that you go and see your GP as early as possible, because it can be treated.
And what sorts of symptoms might somebody look out for if they think they've got a poorly lung or early onset of cancer?
So they would experience some form of breathing difficulties, perhaps shortness of breath. If they were fit and healthy at one time in their life and they deteriorated quite quickly, that would be another sign. They may have excess mucus, or they may start to cough up some blood, which is a very severe sign that they must get checked straight away. And they could also develop a cough. It might start off as a small irritating cough and then develop into a much worse cough later on. But any of these symptoms, or all of them together, we would urge anyone to go and see their GP ASAP.
Are there any other good signposting or areas of resource that people could go and look at to understand a little bit more about lung health?
Yes, if they go on the NHS website and they look on there, there's plenty of information.
So Bev, I noticed there's this here on this side of the lung. What is it?
So sometimes if we develop a really serious condition called mesothelioma, which other people might relate to as asbestosis, they may collect water or fluid on their lungs, which would produce a rattling sound when they breathe if they were in a severe condition. So that again is another symptom to watch out for when thinking about your lung health.
So it's like listening to your lungs as well.
Absolutely.
As the breathing and coughing.
Absolutely.
What other conditions might affect your breathing?
So not all conditions make your lungs go black or hard. They can, some other conditions can affect a perfectly healthy lung, such as asthma. So that is basically when your breathing is restricted, or you might get a condition called COPD, also known as emphysema, which can be brought on by various different elements, including smoking and environmental factors. But not everything that happens to your lungs is of your own doing. Some things can happen and you've got no control over that. But again, looking out for those symptoms is really great, and going to see your GP as soon as possible.
And those symptoms for asthma and COPD are very similar to all the other symptoms we talked about for lung health?
Yes, so many of the symptoms can be similar, so that is why it's so important to get it checked out and to determine exactly what is wrong with you. We also know that COVID can affect our lungs and be detrimental to our lungs, like some of the other conditions we've mentioned today.
So it's really important then to ensure that we look after our lungs, that we listen to public health messages around hands, face and space, and also for all of us to get our vaccine as soon as possible. So what's the best way to keep your lungs healthy and in tip-top condition?
So it's common sense really, Amanda. I think, if we have a good diet, we take regular exercise, we have a good posture, and we try and exercise our lungs through breathing exercises every now and then. I know not everybody wants to do that, but that is a good way to keep your lungs fit and healthy. Love your lungs!